Mr. Secretary, welcome back. It's always good to have
Thank you
with us. What do you say, or how do you react to Larry Fink's letter today, in which he claimed that the era of globalization is either gone or dying?
Well, there's no question there are going to be changes to world architecture, alliances, changes that we can't even foresee today. I think to talk about permanent changes is always difficult because, things swing. I think there will be a decline in the level of globalization to the extent that you define it as being everywhere. But look, companies are going to continue doing business around the world. I think what will change is that geopolitics will become a lot more important in decision making in terms of where businesses invest, how much they invest, who they do business with. I think boards of directors will have a lot more scrutiny over that. And geopolitics will enter the boardroom in terms of risk analysis. But I don't believe that, everyone's going to pull back to their home country. There will be a decline, no question.
What about obviously, President Trump was big on bringing American manufacturing back to the United States. He decried the fact that so many countries were manufacturing, whether it was in Mexico or in China or elsewhere around the globe. You can give him credit or say he was ahead of the game there. Do you expect that trend to continue or maybe accelerate in a world where we can't be, can we, so dependent on China, a frenemy if ever there was one, for such things as silicon chips, consumer goods, iPhones, and stuff like Nike shoes and apparel?
Well, look, I think the idea of bringing home everything and being self-sufficient, I don't believe that will ever be ahead of the game. I think in this day and age, in any day and age, that puts you at a disadvantage. There's still Mexico, there's Europe, there are other countries around the world. Right now, we're talking about a conflict in Russia and Ukraine. What boards will be looking at is whether this expands and how far it expands. People talk about this is like the Cold War. Instead of communism and capitalism, it's democracies versus authoritarianism. I think we have to be very careful that we don't increase the number of countries that are on Russia's side. Right now, Russia is isolated. And I worry about the rhetoric against China and its public rhetoric. We don't have to scold China in public and tell them that if they support Russia, we're going to apply sanctions. That just makes them more willing to cement their position. The objective should be to contain Russia, to isolate Russia, and not to increase the number of countries that are on Russia's side. I think it was very telling that that China actually abstained in the United Nations vote. And that is something that we should keep our eye on. And I think President Biden's goal right now should be to keep it contained to Russia and don't continue to have the kind of rhetoric that just makes countries sort of fall and be pushed to Russia's side.